Hello everyone, Spectre here, back in with a Mortal Kombat Champions video with part 2 of my top 10 champions wish list. And yeah, if you haven't seen part 1, go see part, if you haven't seen part 1, go see part 1. Yeah, as you know, this video is going to be long because if you don't know, I don't just talk about what champions I want the most in the game. I actually create the champions I want the most in this game. So yeah, that's why it's so long, and that's why I have to break this up into 2 parts. But yeah, don't want to let this intro to drag on too long. If you want to go, again, I just recommend go see part 1 before part 2. But if you've seen part 1, then let us continue. Alright, next up is one character that I absolutely adore and I would love to see in the game. We got the Destroyer armor, or the Destroyer. You probably know him from the first Thor movie. And yeah, he was just a menace. He was so freaking cool and intimidating. Oh my god, I love the Destroyer. And obviously he'd be a Cosmic Champion. He is a big boy, so he'd be size XL. He would get the God hashtag, because, you know, Asgardian. He is metal, he's a robot, and yeah, I give him the Asgardian tag. I don't even think that's an actual tag, but they should make the Asgardian tag a thing. I feel like that would be cool. So anyways, immunity. He has a lot of immunities because, you know, he is just a big hulking machine of armor and nothing. Like, what are you going to do? Poison him? He doesn't have an immune system. Bleed him? There's no blood. I feel like since he's made out of, like, you know, god metal, he'd be able, you know, he'd be immune to shock. Can't really break the armor. Like, nothing can really break his armor, so he's immune to armor break and armor shatter. And then also, nothing intimidates him, nothing infuriates him. He's the Destroyer. You can't do jack to him. And also, a Cosmic Champion that's immune to buffs. Yeah, that's right, I did the unthinkable. Always active. Making contact with the Destroyer using medium, heavy, or special attacks inflicts his opponents with a portion of physical damage based on his armor rating. You will notice a trend with the Destroyer that everything is based on his armor rating. And yeah, look at all those spikes. You are taking damage if you hit him. I'm just saying. And notice how I didn't specify light attack, so that makes him really, you know, it makes it really optimal to light intercept. I feel like the Destroyer can't, like, if this design of him was implemented in the game, it would really force players to learn light intercepting, and I think that is just really good for the game in general. I guess. Because light intercept is such, like, a really useful technique, and I've just recently started, like, really felt comfortable with it, and again, just being able to share that with the community would be really cool. Armor up passives, max stack of 20. So yeah, this is how we're going to talk about how you gain these armors, which again increases pretty much everything about this guy. He is all about armors, or armor rating, I should say. If an opponent tries to place an effect on you that you are immune to, gain an indefinite armor up passive. Dexterity does not count for this, so no, you can't cheese it with just, you know, dexing and being immune to the buffs. Haha, no. You had to, I guess, work for these armors. Knocking down an opponent while they are cornered grants you an indefinite armor up passive. This ability cannot be triggered for 5 seconds, so you can't just, I guess, heavy spam. Again, it's all about work. It's all about grit. Also, when exceeding 10 armor up passives, consume 4 armor up passive and gain an indestructible and unstoppable buff for 3 seconds. So basically, if you become too tanky, he's all like, okay, I'm a tank now, and just becomes indestructible and unstoppable for 3 seconds. So, you know, be careful. He could just all of a sudden go indestructible, unstoppable, and beat you up with those big metal hands. Alright, on defense, striking the Destroyer has a chance to grant him an armor up passive. So yeah, again, makes him really scary on defense, you know, again, with that unstoppable and indestructible. Critical hits. Destroyer's critical damage rate scales based on his armor rating. So again, more armor, more damage. Special attacks. Deal an extra burst of physical damage, scales based with armor rating if opponent is cornered. So yeah, you want to use special attacks when the opponent is cornered. You just, with the Destroyer, you want to just be a tank. You want to be on them like, I don't know, some sort of metaphor that I can't think of right now. Like a fat man on with a cake. You know, you just want to be on them like killer bees if a person messed with your hive. That kind of stuff. You like just get them in the corner and go ham. All right. So anyway, what does a special one do? I've been going on a little bit of a tangent, and this video is dragging on forever. So I'm just going to shut my yap and get on with it. On activation, gain an armor up passive. If the opponent is cornered upon activation, gain 2. So again, helps with that ramp a bit, just to be really aggressive with him. Special 2, inflict a degeneration debuff on the opponent for X seconds for X damage, increasing with armor rating. So that degen scales with armor rating. If the opponent is cornered, all degen debuffs are passives. Special 3, gain 10 armor up passive. Special 3 can only be used once per fight. If the opponent is cornered, gain an additional 3 armor up passive. So this makes it so you can get to that 20 stack, or that 20 limit, because, you know, what's it called? Again, you want to make sure you have as many armor up passives as possible to constantly build up your armor rating. And the special 3 just makes it so you're able to get this like a ton of armors. And yeah, again, pays well to have him in the corner because you get 3 extras. Pre-fight ability, Asgardian Life Force. Yep, he has a pre-fight, makes him even better. The Destroyer starts each quest with 0 persistent charges. For each Asgardian on the team, the Destroyer gains +1 persistent charge at the beginning of a quest. If activated in the pre-fight menu screen, the Destroyer activates Asgardian Life Force in the next fight. And what this does is it makes you really want to play Destroyer aggressively, or I guess even more aggressively than you should be playing him. And you benefit a ton because, you know, your life force starts at 100 and you can get up to 150. So yeah, and they gradually fall off over time if the Destroyer is not making contact with the opponent. Each time the Destroyer's basic attack makes contact with the opponent, gain 3 charges. All charges pause during special attacks. If the Destroyer would ever get to 0 charges with that, if you ever get to 0 charge, then Asgardian Life Force is lost and lose 1 persistent charge. Also, while Life Force is active, all attacks have a chance to grant him a placebo buff. And again, he is buff immune. Once he is immune to a buff, or I guess immunity triggers, he gains an armor. So you will just be able to just constantly get these armors just by hitting the opponent. So it really helps with ramp, and really really encourage you to bring in some Asgardians because you're able to do the Asgardian Life Force even more. The Awakened ability, Celestial Contingency. The abilities that consume armor up passive consume 1 less armor up passive. At max sig, abilities consume 2 less armor up passives. So yeah, it definitely gives him a little nice bang for his buck. It's not needed, but it makes it so that whenever you trigger an ability that uses armor, you're not at, I guess, a loss for damage, because again, everything scales with armor rating. You don't really want to consume your armors, or you want to make sure you consume as less as possible. So that's what the SIG does. It's not needed, but it's great, as all signature abilities should be. All right, synergies. Enchanted Armor, the Destroyer. For each Destroyer on the team, increase the potency of armor up passes by X%. So yeah, armor ups are already make him tanky. Why not make him even more of a tank? Dude, he's not even going to need Indestructibles to not take damage at this point. He's just going to not take damage by default with the amount of armors and the potency of each armor. Alright, Temple of Darkness with Loki. The Destroyer. Steal 1 buff upon activation of the special 1. Oh, but he doesn't gain buffs. He's immune to buffs. Oh, what's that? They trigger armors? Yeah, that's right. Get some easy access to some armors, guys. Defenders of Asgard with Thor Ragnarok, and Thor Jane Foster. The Destroyer's critical hits place a shock on the opponent for X seconds with damage scaling with armor. The All-Father's Armor with Odin. The Odin pre-fights become passive, and aptitude effects extend to passives. So yeah, basically it just increases the armor rating even more. Oh god damn. You see, remember when I said armor rating is important? Soul of Homes with Hercules. When falling below 30% max health, gain a permanent True Strike passive. So yeah, that's the Destroyer, our big tanky boy. Yeah, I would love the Destroyer in the game. He's just so fucking cool. I probably should have put him like above. I probably should have moved him up 2 spots because I just love the Destroyer. But yeah, I mean, these 10 rankings are relatively, could be interchangeable. But, Shivagarath and Deathblow are definitely top 2. No question there. I think top 3 is fine. The other 7 could be mixed around a bit. But yeah. Yeah, that's the Destroyer. We have none other than Blackheart, this little hedgehog-looking guy. And yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Blackheart is another one that I had a lot of fun making, and yeah, let's go over him. So yeah, obviously he is the Mystic class. Just also he is Mephisto's son. For those who didn't know, it's just a cool fun fact about him. And yeah, so yeah, he's from Hell. He's a Mystic. Tags. He's probably one of the most evil villains ever in Marvel. Size large, and he's a dimensional being. Basically just like Mephisto when it comes to tags. And yeah, same thing with the immunities. You know, he's immune to Incinerate, Cold Snap, and Frostbite. But also, I think he should be immune to Nova Flame. And yeah, make him a character that you don't really want to bring Human Torch into, even though he's Mystic. So yeah, a little bit of a curveball at you right there. And yeah, always active. Blackheart's powers are drawn from others' misdeeds. Blackheart passively reduces ability accuracy by 25%. This goes away if he has at least 3 or more debuffs on him. So basically, you know, straight off the gate, reduces your ability accuracy. That's very annoying on defense, but there is some counterplay to it. You know, if you do put 3 debuffs on him, you no longer suffer the ability accuracy reduction. You really want someone or a science champion who places a lot of debuffs on him to, you know, I guess kind of counter him. Also, the opponent is incinerated when they fail to trigger an ability. These incinerate, super important. Just incinerates in general, super important when it comes to Blackheart, and I'll explain that as we, you know, press onward. On defense, ability accuracy reduction is doubled unless the attacker assigns. So yeah, it makes him even more of a pain on defense. You know, he's such a bitch on defense. I mean, just that reduces, you know, parry and then abilities. Oh, it's just, yeah, it's gonna be very annoying. Maybe it should be tuned down a bit, but I don't know. While blocking, Blackheart gains invisibility passive. While invisible is active, opponents have a 100% chance to miss. This does not trigger if the block is a well-timed block. If the opponent misses, the invisibility is unpaused, and invisibility lasts for 3 seconds. So, yeah, basically, I guess the place I want to go for is, you know, blocking. You don't really want to parry, but, you know, you want to make sure you trigger that invisibility so the opponent misses, and then you can just go in for your combo. And, yeah, once you're invisible, let's go here. When striking the opponent, if Blackheart is invisible, all attacks that make contact with the opponent inflicts them with a very weak but long duration Incinerate debuff, and I'm thinking it's for 60 seconds. So yeah, it's very, very long, but it starts off weak. You know what you think? Start off. Yeah, he's a bit of a ramp up champion, and we'll get to how you ramp up these Incinerates in a second. Also, these are passives against Cosmic Champions. So yeah, right off the bat, you know, you want to trigger your invisibility. You know, make sure the opponent strikes your block, and instead of striking your block, they will actually miss you, and then you can instantly go in for like a nice combo and put on these Incinerates. But yeah, see, if you see right here, additionally, opponent's dash attacks further increase the potency of these Incinerates by X%. Against Cosmic Champions, potency increase amount is doubled. So yeah, you are literally going to be eating Cosmic Champions alive, because yeah, think about all the times, you know, the opponent's dashing back. You know, especially if the AI is really aggressive, they're going to be dashing in and out, in and out, in and out, and just the potency of these Incinerators are just going to go up and up and up. And especially against Cosmic, it's going to go way up, way fast too. So yeah, you are going to be eating Cosmics alive. So he is a really good Cosmic Slayer, in my opinion. And anyway, if we get to the special one. Imprison the opponent's soul for X seconds. Any buff that fails to trigger, place an Incinerate debuff on the opponent instead. So yeah, this is also a way you can get some, you know, some Incinerates going if it's a really buff-heavy matchup. Just a special one, boom, get some Incinerates going. Yeah. Special 2. Each hit deals a burst of X energy damage for each Incinerate on the opponent. Double Incinerates if 10 or more are on the opponent. So yeah, this is a really crazy one. And it just allows you to stack up even more Incinerates, which is still even crazy, especially if like the opponent's been just dashing in and out and just ramping up those that Incinerate damage. Yeah, that's gonna hit hard, or I guess not hit hard, but it's gonna deal a lot of damage. in the future because of those incinerates. Here is where the magic happens. Special 3. You are in the Dark Force dimension now, until the opponent is no longer suffering from incinerates. Both Blackheart and his opponent cannot gain power, buffs, or passives by any means until they leave the Dark Force dimension. Also, you refresh all incinerates, and Blackheart can no longer inflict incinerates on the opponent. Also, the opponent is permanently infuriated until they leave the Dark Force dimension. So what this means is, it's just you and your opponent. They have these 60-second incinerates, and what you can do is just constantly do light intercepts. They are infuriated, so they most likely will be charging at you, and because when they charge at you, they dash. And you could just keep light intercepting and backing up and light intercept, backing up, light intercept. You are just going to deal, or you're not going to deal the damage, but the incinerates are just going to ramp up and 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 up for 60 whole seconds, and you're definitely going to be feeling the damage with the special 3, because. Especially because of that infuriate, it's really going to make it so you are reliably able to just ramp up and continuously, build up this incinerate damage over the 60 seconds. So, yeah, he is. I told you, I had fun making him. I think this is a really cool, unique ability, and just his way of doing damage is so insane. And I could not be any more happy with the way Blackheart came out. But yeah, let's go to his awakened ability. Son of Mephisto. Using a special attack activates Aura of Incineration for X seconds at X to X potency. So depending on his sig level, it does more and more damage. And yeah, it makes him even more annoying on defense, but also it does help offensively because, with Aura of Incineration, you are gaining power over time, just like Mephisto's. So it makes you able to, get to that special 2 or special 1s more consistently and faster, or that special 3, of course, because again, the special 3 does refresh the incinerates, and you want to make sure you're using it to refresh as many incinerates as possible, because once you're in there, you can't gain any more. Synergies: Bad Dads, Blackheart, Mephisto, Apocalypse, Thanos, and Green Goblin. So yeah, some pretty bad dads. And all synergy members except for Blackheart. Dashing back and holding block for 1.2 seconds takes away 20% of your max health, and in return you gain an indefinite persistent fury passive, increasing attack rating by 50%. Yeah, this is a pretty good synergy depending on how much you weigh your health versus attack. If you think, hey, that 50% damage is worth it, by all means, go for it. But, this may not be the synergy for you if you value your health. Devil's Advocate, Blackheart, Ghostwriter, and Kushala. So, with Blackheart, when inflicting an Incinerate on the opponent, X chance to inflict an additional Incinerate. So yeah, this is probably a really goated synergy for Blackheart. You probably want to be running Kushala with him. Not really Ghostwriter much because, he's not the best, but definitely with Kushala is a really good champion, so yeah, they would make a really good pair. Anyway, Ghostwriter and Kushala increase the duration and potency of damage over time effects by plus X% for each champ present. So if you have all of them present, this multiplier is times 3, or yeah, whatever this is, it's times 3. Made in my image with Mephisto. Blackheart and Mephisto. If the opponent is immune to Incinerate, inflict a corresponding bleed instead. So I think with this, these synergies, it kind of creates a trio of Blackheart, Mephisto, and Kushala. Because I think they all benefit and have synergize nicely with each other. Burnt Roses. Blackheart and Daredevil Classic. Holding block infuriates the opponent for 2.5 seconds. So yeah, this makes it so, if the opponent's playing really passive, you can, hold block and make sure they trigger your miss. Daredevil Classic. Whenever Daredevil evades an attack, gain a permanent fury passive, increasing attack rating by X%, max stack 10. So yeah, if you have a real high sig Daredevil Classic, bring Blackheart in and, try to get some fury and boost his damage. And also the synergy is a reference to the comics where Daredevil says that Blackheart smelled like burnt roses. So, Daredevil has a really good smell and heightened senses. So I believe him, I guess. But yeah, that's Blackheart. had so much fun making him. Yeah, I would be stoked if he, came into the game like this. He'd probably be my favorite champion. Fang Foom. Yep, it's a funny name, and I don't care. He's awesome. I remember his boss fight. He probably had one of the most memorable boss fights in Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1, and that's the picture you see here. I think it's the best looking Fang Foom like he's ever looked, and I just think he's so cool. He is a really big dragon guy, and also he's an alien, so he's like part of the Makluan race, and so he's not actually a dragon. He is an alien who looks like a dragon. And yeah, if you've played Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1, you would know Fang Foom is huge, but it's okay because he can alter his size. So he could probably alter his size to be about the size of Sentinel in the game, who I believe is the biggest champion in the game. And so, yeah, Fang Foom, I think he'd be fine in the game. He wouldn't be too big, especially since, yes, he can alter his size. And, yeah, I also gave him, so he has the XL tag. He's a Cosmic Champion. I gave him the Fantastic Four tag only because he like, literally works at the Baxter building as, like, their head chef. So I thought that was really funny, and it'd be cool to give him the Fantastic Four tag. Not everyone gets the Fantastic Four tag, who I think should get the Fantastic Four tag. It's really only reserved for the Fantastic Four, which makes sense. Also Super Skrull has the Fantastic Four tag for some reason, which I find weird. So that made me want to give Fang Foom the Fantastic Four tag. So it's whatever. Yeah, it's a toss-up. I don't care if he gets a tag or not, but for right now, I'm giving him the tag, and he has the flying tag. Immunities though. Poison, Neutralize, and Fate Seal. So it's really important for him to have the Neutralize and Fate Seal immunity, especially with especially when he's unawakened, and it can really make him a more versatile champion for some like really unfavorable matchups, in my opinion. Oh, also, these are really important because I do see him, or when I was making him, like I had the idea in mind that I wanted him to be an incursion champion. So Hercules probably still the best incursion champion in the game. I don't think he will ever not be the best incursion champion in the game, but it's always good to have options in case you don't have him or don't want to use him. It's always good to have, just other good options. So that is also something to note about going forward with Fang Foom and his abilities. So anyway, always active. Foom's Makulan physiology gives him protection from energy sources. This grants Foom plus X energy resistance at all times. So yeah, with this, he, from energy-based damage over time effects, he'll probably be able to do some nice willpower healing. And especially, against like energy sources, he's not going to take a lot of damage. So that's always good, especially in incursions where those attack pools are hella big. Medium and light attacks. These attacks gain increased crit rate and crit damage rate while the opponent is suffering from acid burn. We'll get into acid burn in a second. That all deals with special attacks. The heavy attack. Pause all buffs and passes for 2 seconds. The final hit of this attack grants Foom a fury buff, increasing the damage of his next attack by X. Crossfight ability, so the Makulan longevity. Foom's race has increased lifespan. Each fight won makes him grow in power, granting him a Makulan charge, increasing buff potency by 4% every time he wins a fight. So this just means that, basically with Angela and the Odin synergy, it's going to just make him stronger and stronger and stronger the farther he goes. And I decided to give him this because, again, the idea was incursions, and, the nice thing is, he doesn't need a synergy to do what Angela can do. So, definitely think that's a really good addition to his kit. And not only that, but he has persistent charges and a pre-fight ability. So, yeah, let's go with the Makulan Spirit. Foom starts each fight with 1 persistent charge, and it can be spent in the pre-fight menu. Gain an additional persistent charge if Foom has a striker equipped. And what can you do with these persistent charges? You can spend it to get some fun abilities. Foom later on in life spent time reflecting and turned towards Buddhism, where he found peace. During this time, Foom has studied and mastered all sorts of skills, which Foom can use in the next fight for the cost of 1 persistent charge. So these abilities are Inner Demons. Foom, now in control of his inner demons, uses his rage to skillfully slash his foes. Basic attacks inflict opponents with a bleed debuff. So yeah, it's really nice, especially if they have bleed vulnerability or just, get some extra damage. It's always good to, be able to bleed the opponent if you can. Cleanse. Foom starts the fight with 2 cleanse charges. So this helps with, what's it called? The recoil masteries or just any, debuffs in general that are dealing or trying to whittle at your health. It's always good to have some cleanse charges, every fight. True Vision. Foom gains a true strike buff for X seconds after performing an intercept. So yeah, it's also really nice, especially for, auto block miss, evade, those kind of matchups, like really big end game matchups in like incursions at like later zones. Like it's going to make him really good. Spiritual Healing. Heal back 85% of any non-contact damage sources. So, especially with the covering mastery, you will be able to heal back 100% of the non-contact damage sources. And again, especially like, what's it called? Very late zone incursions or like zones. Those damage or the attack pools of those champions are insane. So it's good to be able to heal back if you accidentally take a blocked hit, because you can still take up to like 20,000 damage from a blocked hit, which is insane. But anyway, here are the special attacks. This is where the big meat, the juice of his kit. These are where you can get those acid burns. But first, as I said before, pause the heavy attack fury for the duration of the special attacks. And that's all special attacks. Special 1. All hits inflict the opponent with a poison debuff dealing X damage over X seconds. Gain an armor up buff for X seconds. So, nothing too special there yet. But once we get to that special 2, this is where stuff happens. The final hit inflicts the opponent with an incinerate debuff dealing X damage over X seconds. If the opponent has any poison debuffs on them, the incinerate gets consumed and converts all poison into acid burn passives dealing X damage over X seconds. Also gain a fury buff for X seconds. So yeah, your special 2, this is where you are going to be doing a lot of your damage, because not only do you get a fury buff that if you're really ramped up, you got some fights under your belt, that potency of the fury buff is going to be really, really good. Not only that, but that also can transition to acid burns, increasing the damage of acid burns as well. Plus, with the heavy attack fury, yeah, your special 2 is going to be doing crazy numbers, especially with the acid burns. Like this is your hey, you're dead now. That's what you're telling the opponent when you throw that special 2. But for the special 3, nothing too special, but you gain a regeneration buff for covering X health over X second. It's just something nice, for sustainability. If you're getting really low, it's always good to be able to sustain yourself. And the only caveat is it's at the cost of a special 3, which is 3 bars of power, and you might be losing out on some damage because you have to spend your resources on giving yourself damage instead of dealing damage. So I think it's a fair trade, and also this regeneration buff does benefit from the potency of your Makulan longevity. So that's always good to keep in mind. And so I'm thinking it'd be a really weak regeneration, but because it can benefit from potency, it ends up being really, really strong. The Awakened ability, Become Whole. If Foom's buff gets nullified, staggered, stolen, or prevented, Foom gains a matching passive buff with plus X to X increased potency. So yeah, that depends on the SIG level, and it's probably a bad thing that he ends up having the immunities of Neutralize and Fate Seal, but that's only for if he's unawakened. There are still plenty of other ways where it can get nullified or staggered or stolen or prevented, like how it's listed. So I think it's a fair trade in my opinion. Awakened versus unawakened. So yeah, that's his abilities. Now let's go on to the synergies. Valley of the Sleeping Dragon with Fang Foom, Iron Man, and the Mandarin. Fang Foom, intercepts do not consume heavy attack fury. So that's always good to have. It's a really nice synergy to make sure you always have like some nice hitting, some just basic attacks. Iron Man can lock onto the opponent by dashing back and holding block for 1.5 seconds, granting him with a true strike buff for 10 seconds. Cooldown 10 seconds. So 50% of the time you will have this true strike, and it just makes him a lot better for matchups. And obviously with the Mandarin, he's not in the game. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Alright, next up, to the moon with Hulk. Fang Foom. Gain a physical resistance passive. And then for Hulk, physical vulnerabilities debuffs become passive when fighting skill champions. So yeah, with this synergy, it makes Hulk it really opens him up to fighting like champions who can shrug off his physical vulnerabilities, and it doesn't hurt his damage. So I think it's a really nice synergy for Hulk. And then here's what I was talking about with the Fantastic Four head chef. He's got head chef synergy with the Thing, Human Torch, Invisible Woman, and Mr. Fantastic. So Fang Foom bleeds can now be critical if the opponent is suffering from acid burn. So it's really nice and really helps with some damage if you choose to use the Inner Demon's pre-fight ability. And then for the Thing, Torch, Invisible Woman, and Fantastic, gain 50% poison reduction. So that's always good to have. I'd rather not be immune to something and instead have a resistant to it, because then I can heal from willpower. So that is going to be really good with the Fantastic Four. And then we got a nice little synergy with Wong called Christmas Dinner, which again is a reference to the comics where on Christmas Wong helped out Fang Foom, and they battled Hydra and stuff like that. So there's a cool little synergy, very wholesome story and comic as well. But yeah, for Fang Foom, buffs and debuffs are paused when using a striker. And then same thing for Wong. Eldritch spells are paused when using a striker. So yeah, a little something nice there. Again, this is just a wholesome story. I definitely recommend you guys go give it a read or something like that. But yeah, that's Fang Foom. Yeah, I'm really happy with how he turned out. I originally he probably was the one I struggled with the most when creating a kit for, and but yeah, I'm happy how he turned out. All right, now we got the Lizard. So he is a science class, of course. And he is a villain, and he's just going to be a size L. Unless they use an Insomniac type lizard and they really make him massive, then I could see him being XL. And he is part of the Sinister Six. And immunity, so Rupture and Armor Break. So yeah, we finally got another champion immune to Rupture in this game. So that's it's cool. It's always good. Scorpion's not the only one. And yeah, with the a lot more champions placing Rupture now, it really makes the immunity much more. I wouldn't say necessary, but puts a lot more value into it. Always active. Lizard takes 60% reduced damage from bleed and poisons. And going into mind with creating him, I wanted him to be a really good suicide mastery champion. And yeah, so got some nice resistances. Also, any attempt to reduce Lizard's regeneration rate, it's instead. The effect is instead reversed. So kind of like how Atuma has his thing where it's attempts to reverse his ability accuracy actually increases his ability accuracy. That's basically what happens with Lizard here. If you try to reduce it with
petrifies or stuff like that, guess what? That's actually just gonna make him regen more. And yeah, so that's a pretty cool ability I thought would be nice. I think it makes him very, very unique. And then also Lizard suffers 40% reduced combat power rate, but instead inflicting a non-damaging debuff grants Lizard a burst of power. So you kind of get compensated, and sometimes, it's good to have, that can apply with stuns, and, he applies a fair bit of abilities, himself. So it's always, it's a really good, double-edged sword. And I think he benefits more than than not. Also, well-timed blocks increase stun duration by 0.5 seconds. Now, I thought this would really nice because for his rotation, light attacks, as you can see, inflict decelerate debuffs on the opponent. And so maybe what you could do is light attack and then wait a second, and then you could do a full 5-hit combo. Because if you wait long enough, you kind of are able to reset a combo. If that makes sense, if you don't know that technique, you're able to do that kinda. It's a little bit risky in my opinion, but with that extra, stun duration, you're able to consistently, get that one light attack, which gives you a little bit of power. So it's always nice to have. Also, when filling a bar of power, Lizard gains a burst of regen for 5% of missing health. So this really helps him with the suicide mastery, because you will be, obviously if you use a special attack, you lose a bit of you lose 5% of your total health. This kind of mitigates that a little bit, and also if he is suffering from like any kind of regeneration reversing effect, you will be getting more health in that. So, and more often than not, in cases, you will probably be able to sustain yourself, about like, almost about around 100% of the amount of health you take from the recoil mastery. And yeah, we talked about light attacks, decelerate debuffs at 10% potency for X seconds. So yeah, decelerate is always nice. When struck, 25% chance to inflict the opponent with a trauma debuff for X seconds. Chances quadruple if rooted. So we'll come to that root in a second. But yeah, trauma, this is where you're going to be like doing a lot of your damage. You want to stack up these trauma debuffs, and you really want to be able to root yourself. But also, while rooted, you heal back 85% of the damage received from basic hits. So with recovery, you're going to be healing back 100%. So it's really good. Really good, mastery to run with the Lizard. Also, special 1. So this is how you're going to root yourself. On activation, Lizard sheds his skin, placing a trap on the ground that he can activate. All hits inflict a torture debuff for X seconds. So, yeah, you're going to inflict your torture debuffs, and then you're going to go back, like dash back and root yourself. And then you're going to, just stand there and take all the hits while the opponent inflicts the trauma debuffs on them. And because of the torture debuffs, the trauma is going to last even longer than if, let's say, they didn't have any torture debuffs on them. So yeah, that's really nice there. Special 2. All hits inflict petrified debuffs, reducing regenerate effects by X% for X seconds. So this is a really nice utility special 2 if you're in a really strong regeneration fight where you want to reduce or reverse the healing. You could just launch some special 2s. But the special 3 is the real treat. I always like to create like rotations that can involve a lot of your special attack and creates like a nice rotation. And I think the special 3 does just that. So you gain an energized passive for 20 seconds, increasing your combat power rate by 40%. So now Lizard is at a rate where his combat power rate is normal. Plus he gains that extra power gain from inflicting debuffs, and so this way I think you're able to cycle your special 1 and get even more trauma debuffs on them. And because they're going to be stacking up so many trauma debuffs, your basic hits are just going to hit like an absolute monster. But yeah, going on with the Awakened ability, the 4th light attack is unblockable if the opponent is suffering from at least 3 debuffs. So it's a little extra thing. I imagine for the the animation wise, he kind of hits you with like his tail and does like a little spin. So that's why it's unblockable. And it's always, again, his light attacks inflict decelerate debuffs on them. So it's a little something extra. But here's where I want to bring up, or here's where I was talking about with the special 1. Gain a Fury passive for 20 seconds, increasing attack by X to X depending on Sig level when shedding. So remember how the special 1, you shed your skin to root yourself? Well, once you shed, you gain that Fury buff, and so it just makes you hit even harder, if you're awakened and at higher Sigs. So he's a champion that you want to be, high Sig for. So anyways, synergies. Old faces. The Lizard, Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Electro, and Sandman. So yeah, all the characters, from No Way Home. And all synergy members, once you fight, the attacker can dash back and hold block for 1.5 seconds and purify a poison, bleed, or cold snap debuff on them. So originally, I just had poison, but I was like, hold on, Sandman wouldn't benefit from the synergy. So I was like, okay, let's make it bleed and cold snap as well. So it's good for, general suicide mastery users of these champions. And then Cold Snap for Sandman. Poor Peter Parker. The Lizard and Spider-Man Classic. So for the Lizard, intercepting the opponent's heavy attack with yours inflicts the opponent with a crush debuff for 1.5 seconds. So, I envision this as, once you knock them down, if they decide to block, you could still just go in. And then for Spider-Man Classic, intercepting the opponent's attack with your special 2 makes it a guaranteed crit. So, it just makes it so, this special 2 is just going to hit harder it already hits hard, but, once it crits, it hits hard. So it's going to make you, going to be real more consistent with his damage, and it's not going to be up to RNG whether or not you can get a devastating special 2 versus, you know, just a special 2 that hits kind of hard. And then last synergy, Cold-Blooded with Dragon Man and Sauron. So the Lizard. Whenever the opponent fails to trigger an unstoppable effect, inflict 2 trauma debuffs. So this is going to be a really nice synergy with Lizard, especially since, you know, stacking up, like, his main debuff is stacking up decelerates, and, you know, because, you know, decelerates prevent unstoppable, you know, and trauma is his main source of damage and how he's going to deal lives damage, it's really going to be helpful to bring in this synergy with him. And so with Dragon Man, though, when the opponent is cornered, gain X crit rating. So it's just going to make it so you can deal more damage with your crits, and it's just always nice with Dragon Man. I love Dragon Man. He's my little dragon boy. I love him. Would love the 7-star. And then with Sauron, increase Extinction Mode degeneration passive potency by 100%. So yeah, it's just gonna make it so Sauron just does some more damage because, you know, he's lacking a bit. And yeah, that's Lizard. So as you saw before, you know, Kurse here is the last champion on this list, and he is a cosmic character, and he's got the tags Villain and Size XL. Because look at him, he is huge. Like, that's Thor, and that's him. He is just towering over him. And I meant to give him the Asgardian tag because, you know, he's affiliated with, you know, although I don't know if he'd get the Asgardian tag. I kind of just, like, attribute the Asgardian tag to any of, like, you know, the North mythological characters, you know, in, like, the realm of, like, Thor and stuff like that, but he's kind of from, like, one of the other realms, so he's not from Asgard, but I still would give him the Asgardian tag, you know, just to group up all of those characters together. But immunities, you've got Armor Break, Armor Shatter, Fatigue, Slow, Rupture, Cold Snap, and Frostbite. So yeah, we've got a lot of immunities, a lot of good ones, a lot of niche ones, maybe unique ones, but anyways, always active. Kurse starts each fight in his Warrior's Akumen form, granting him the following: Permanent True Strike, permanently unblockable, and then plus 40% ability accuracy. So this is important because, you know, starting in the Warrior's Akumen form just allows you to further set up yourself for when you switch forms to your stronger form, in my opinion. And so basically how you get to that, I'll explain it right now. So when struck, when hit with a special or heavy attack, if Kurse is in his Warrior's Akumen form, Kurse gains an unstoppable and indestructible passive for the duration of the attack, and Kurse switches form to Beyonder's Augments for 20 seconds, granting the following: plus X attack, plus physical resistance, plus 15% combat power rate, minus 25% reduced special cost. So yeah, if you didn't know, Kurse becomes Kurse because of the Beyonder. The Beyonder literally sees him and is all like, "Here, take some power, my boy." And yeah, basically this happened because, like, he originally, before he became Kurse, he was like, I think it was like Algrim the Strong. He fought Thor, and Thor left him for dead because, like, they fell into, like, this volcano, and Kurse managed to live that, and he was, like, on the brink of death. But the Beyonder found him and was like, "Here, take some power." So I found that really cool, and that's also why I like him. He's just, like, so cool. I love his, like, origin story. Just so badass that I got powers from the Beyonder. Also, Beyonder's Augments is paused during special attacks, so it makes it so, you know, you don't have to worry about throwing special attacks and, you know, wasting, you know, your cooldown, or I guess wasting the duration of Beyonder's Augments because it is so strong. Also, after Beyonder's Augments timer is up, it goes on cooldown for 15 seconds. If Kurse would lose more than 10% of his max health in a single hit, Kurse consumes Beyonder's Augments to cap the damage and switches him back to Warrior's Akumen form. And also this triggers the cooldown for 15 seconds, so he can't gain again. It gives him really nice, you know, little damage cap, which is nice as always. Basic attacks have a 60% chance to inflict the opponent with a physical vulnerability debuff for X seconds. So yeah, what you really want to do is, you know, in your Warrior's Akumen form, because you have increased ability accuracy, this is a 100% chance on each hit, so you just want to constantly stack up your physical vulnerabilities before switching to Beyonder's Augments. And then, so for all special attacks, while in Warrior's Akumen form, gain a permanent precision buff when activating a special, max stack 3. While in Beyonder's Augments form, gain a permanent cruelty buff when activating a special, max stack 3. So this is very important. You know, this is if you really are in a long fight and you need to ramp up. You know, this is what you could do. You know, make sure you get your 3 precision buffs, and make sure you get your 3 cruelty buffs. And then also with the special 3, I'm going to skip special 1 and special 2 because, you know, this in the special 3 is in the same vein. You might want to even get your special 3 aptitude buffs first, so it can improve the cruelty and the precision buffs. So yeah, that's assuming you want to go full ramped. You know, you don't have to for like shorter fights. But with the special 1, each hit inflicts a rupture debuff for X seconds. So obviously, you know, the rupture damage is going to be higher for, you know, depending on the physical vulnerability of the opponent, which you can, you know, increase with, you know, the physical vulnerability debuffs. And you can get some nice, you know, ruptures. Or you can take these ruptures and cash them in for even more damage with the special 2. So you consume all ruptures and gain a fury buff for X attack for each rupture consumed. And they also last the duration of the special. So you can either, you know, have like a nice consistent damage with your ruptures, or you can just cash them out for a nice special 2. And also, you know, when using special attacks, you often want to make sure you're in Beyonder's augments because you gain that increased fury or that increased damage boost as well. Awakened ability. Algrim the Strong. Yes, I was right. I knew his name. Yeah, I was testing you guys actually. So when switching forms, permanently increase buff potency by X to X%. And you know, this I guess stays consistent. So, you know, or I guess stays consistent throughout the fight. So, you know, say you switch forms 10 times in the fight, you know, I guess times the multiplier by 10. It's nice, definitely for longer form content, so it could possibly make him an Everest content. And yeah, obviously that, you know, goes up with the SIG. And also when gaining a fury buff, X to X% to gain an additional fury at matching potency. So again, another SIG ability, so you know, it gives you a higher chance to gain an additional fury, making your damage do even more. And again, if you increase the buff potency of the fury, you do even more damage. Plus, if you have the aptitudes, you do even more damage. It's crazy how, you know, you can ramp this guy. So I think he would actually be a really good Everest, you know, Necropolis character. And then so synergies. Left on the brink of death. So this is, you know, the origin I was talking about with Thor Classic. Once per quest, when Kurse would receive a fatal blow, gain an immortality buff and consume all buffs on you, and you regenerate plus X HP for each buff consumed. So that really goes hand in hand with the, you know, let's say, you know, you take damage, but you're fully ramped up, like you have your 2 altitudes, you have your 3 precisions, you have your 3 cruelties, like you're just going to be able to come back with a decent chunk of health. That's always good. And then Thor. The last hit of the special 2 is unblockable, and if this hit breaks opponent's block, that hit gains plus X attack. So with this, I'm assuming like you really want to, you know, throw this into the block because it gets even more damage. So that's really cool. You know, the hammer's so strong it could just break through the block. I think it'd be really cool. And then we have this a synergy with Beta Ray Bill. You're not Thor. So this basically is a reference to the comics where because he felt Thor wronged him and left him to die, he wanted to go find Thor to kill him, and he thought he found Thor, but it was actually just Beta Ray Bill. And then so with Kurse, generate X% of a bar of power when gaining a buff. So really nice, you know, helps you get to your specials even quicker. And with Beta Ray Bill, question mark, cause I don't know, he's not in the game, but I'm hoping he's getting added this year because the roadmap or whatever for champion release got revealed by Kabam, and you know, Beta Ray Bill, you know, strong contender. If you look at JAX's video, he's really good with that stuff. Definitely like give it a look. I'm hoping for Beta Ray Bill. I'd be stoked to see him. Where is he? Kurse, Hela, and Malekith. So Kurse, while in Beyonder's augments, gain a permanent True Sense passive. So this is a nice nod to the comics where it's like, I don't know, it's never really explained why he has this or like how he has this, but he has like this just ability to know where someone is. So it's really, really cool, and I thought it'd be really nice to give him with the synergy because, you know, with Malekith, you know, Thor sent him to Hell with Hela, so that's why she's here, but Kurse was looking for Malekith because Malekith kind of like double-crossed him or betrayed him, and so then he started looking for Malekith. And so I thought it'd be cool to give him a nice True Sense passive because, it's a nice little nod to that. Hela. Pause Fury Buzz for 0.3 seconds when striking the opponent. And, Malekith, I don't know. We don't know. He's not in the game. And then last synergy, Not So Bottled Up with Kurse, Hulk, Classic, Mangog, Kingpin, Wolverine, and Crossbones. A lot of characters who get really angry. And, all synergy members. Dashing back and holding block for 1.2 seconds grants the attacker with an anger passive for 10 seconds, increasing fury and cruelty effects potency by 10%. So it's not the best for every single character, but for Hulk, it's amazing. For Crossbones, it's really amazing. And, if there's any way to get furies for these three, it's always good. It's a nice synergy, I think, especially if the node is able to grant you some furies and stuff like that. But yeah, I believe that is it. Oh wait, honorable mentions. I almost forgot. So we got a couple here that I would be stoked to see in the game, but obviously they weren't my top 10. So we got Spider-Man Noir. Honestly, it is criminal how we still have not gotten Spider-Man Noir, but we got Spider-Man 2099 and Silk. Like, you're telling me that I was actually really pissed off because we got all the Spider folk from the first Into the Spider-Verse except for Noir, who just so happens to be my favorite Spider-Man variant. I loved him in Shattered Dimensions. He was my favorite. He had the best missions, and he was just my favorite. And he's the one that's not in the game yet. Like, what the hell? Plus they're adding, or I don't know if they're adding Spider-Punk, but Spider-Punk was on the community choice vote, which means he might get added. Like, you're telling me we're gonna get 2099, Silk, and Spider-Man, Spider-Punk. Plus we had Spider-Man Supreme before Spider-Man Noir. Like, what is this? In a perfect world, Spider-Man Noir would have come out with Penny Parker, because then you finish out the Into the Spider-Verse, that whole Spider group, and then instead of getting Spider-Man Supreme, that's when we get Spider-Man 2099 with Spot for the release of Into the Spider or Across the Spider-Verse. But yeah, that was my little rant about Spider-Man Noir. Oh my god, I just want Spider-Man Noir. He's my favorite Spider-Man. Okay, please. And then next up we got Nightmare, who was a really cool character. Yeah, not else much to say. He's cool, but he didn't make the list. Mystique is a character that we've all been wanting for ages. Kabam just doesn't have the tech for. I don't blame them for why she's not in the game yet, but still want her in the game. I'm not going to take her off the list just because they can't do her yet, but I still want her. Enchantress, another character that I grew up with Avengers Earth Mightiest Heroes. She was really cool, is like one of the main villains of season 1. Loved Enchantress. She was really cool. And same thing with Crimson Dynamo. I can't pronounce him, but I sure did like him in the TV show. I thought he was really cool. He was I think he was a pretty good menace. I loved his design in Earth Mightiest Heroes. He looked like a big tank. I love Crimson Dynamo. Also, Wonder Man. I think Wonder Man would be so cool in this game. He's a real classic character. I think he just has so much potential. I would love for him to be like a more mainstream character. I would like to see him get his own movie in the MCU. But yeah, I think there's a lot you could do with Wonder Man. I think he was, again, amazing in Earth Mightiest Heroes. Love that show. Dude, it's probably I think that's my favorite TV show of all time. Earth Mightiest Heroes, amazing. I'm pretty sure if they had season 3, they were going to do so much more with Wonder Man, and it's a shame we didn't get season 3. Next up, we got the Mandarin, a classic Iron Man character, a classic comic book character in general that I'm surprised is not in the game yet. But yeah, I would love to get the Mandarin in there. And who knows, maybe if we get the Mandarin, we'll get Fang Foom. Yeah, that'd be cool. U.S. Agent. So U.S. Agent, I really hated Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that TV show. I hated it. But the one thing that I liked in that show was the U.S. Agent. He just stole the show. It's like a character that, it's like the producers wanted us to hate, but I found him to be, the best character. Same thing with Baron Zemo. I loved those two. They were the best show. they were the best characters in the show and really carried it in like a show that I absolutely hated. So yeah, he'd be nice to get, especially if it's the MCU version. I'm pretty sure we'll get him with the Thunderbolts. Like I'm almost certain we'll get him with Thunderbolts whenever that comes out. A-Bomb, so Rick Jones, he is a friend of the Hulk. Big blue guy. He can like turn into a ball and roll around and turn invisible. He is just so cool. He almost made this top 10, but he's probably like, out of all these honorable mentions, he was probably like top 3 of the honorable mentions. I love A-Bomb. He's so cool. Surtur, another like Asgardian character. He'd be so cool. Especially if like they go with the MCU version, like I guess like visually, he just looks so cool in the Thor Ragnarok. Hobgoblin. He was a character that was in a community's choice that I don't think I voted for him because it was either the one with Bullseye or Baron Zemo, but I went with Zemo, and fortunately I had to let Hobgoblin go. But yeah, Hobgoblin would be so cool, and maybe he could release with like a Green Goblin overhaul, kind of like how they did with Iron Man. So that'd be really cool. Get the 2 goblins. The leader, again, another classic character that I would just love to see in this game, because I just want like a lot of these classic characters in there from like comics. I thought the leader, he's also very cool in like the way that he's like, as strong as the Hulk is, he is smart. So it's a really nice like parallel, like 2 sides of the same coin. I think that's really cool, and that's why I really liked the leader growing up. Next up, we got Deathlock. So another character that I believe he was in the first Community's Choice, and he's a really cool character, but I'm pretty sure he lost like round 1, unfortunately. But yeah, he's still a cool character. I would love to see him in the game. And then last up, Silver Sable. So Silver Sable may come to you as a surprise, like you may not know who she is. She's like often affiliated with Spider-Man, and I mean you probably know who she is from like the Insomniac's Spider-Man, the first one. Like she was there, and yeah, I liked her from Spectacular Spider-Man. That show was like another one that I fucking love, and yeah, she was really cool in there. So yeah, those are my honorable mentions, and that is my wish list. This was the final part of like this 2-hour series or whatever, and yeah, my voice hurts. Alright, I don't think I've ever talked this long and this like much before, so I'm gonna probably drink water or a blue raspberry body armor, because I am just addicted to those things. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe. I'm going to go fuel my addiction of blue raspberry body armor. Goodbye.